Welcome back, everybody, to the Miami Marlins franchise here on MLB The Show 23. Today we're going to go through the All-Star break and really through the rest of July leading up to the trade deadline. Last episode was for 2023 MLB Draft, and it was a really big episode, so in case you missed it, I'll leave a card at the top right of your screen so you can go ahead and check it out. Overall, our draft class was very successful. With the number 10 pick, we got first baseman Woody Landry, a big-time lefty bat. He's only 18 years old, and he was our target all along in the first round. Our next two picks I thought were really good as well. We drafted Joel Beltran, another big-time lefty bat. He's a catcher from Mississippi State. And then Robbie Jones, an 18-year-old starting pitcher hailing from the Netherlands. I think these three players can be core guys within this rebuild if their ratings are true to what our scouts put them as. The rest of our draft class was pretty solid as well. We added switch-hitting second baseman Dominique Sierra, a high-floor starting pitcher in Cameron Norman, another lefty bat with Derek Chavis in the outfield, and then our final pick, Fernando Cortez, was a total steal, with him being projected as a second-round talent by our scouts. What we're going to be doing at some point during today's episode is trying to sign all of our draft picks. We have around $11 million to spend in total bonus money, so hopefully we'll be able to sign everybody, and then next episode we will know their ratings and potentials and whatnot. So we're going to do that at some point today, but our first portion of the episode, we're going to take a brief look into the All-Star break. We're not going to spend a ton of time on it because we don't have a lot of our guys participating. And during the final game of the first half of the season, Avisail Garcia broke his collarbone. He'll be out 1 to 2 months, and we ended up losing to the Phillies. So we are 46-46 going into the break. We're fourth in the division with a record of exactly 500. We are still well within the mix for the National League wildcard spot. In these next few weeks, wrapping up the month of July, which again we'll be going over today, will really determine what we're going to do at the trade deadline, whether we look to be aggressive and make this team better, hunting for a playoff spot, or maybe looking to sell off some pieces and add some prospects to the farm system, or maybe doing a little bit of both. So we're going to start by briefly going through the All-Star festivities, and again, we won't spend a ton of time doing so. I think Jazz Chisholm and Sandy Alcantara both would have been All-Stars, but they're both injured at the moment. Sandy hasn't missed any time. He just got injured during his last start, and he should still make the All-Star game. His numbers are really good, and he's currently in third place in terms of starting pitching voting, so he should theoretically get in. But I think it might be in the game's code to not put injured players in the All-Star game, so he might not get in just because he's hurt, which is kind of stupid. Let's briefly go through the Home Run Derby. Here's a look at your participants. Really a bunch of regular names. There aren't really many surprises. Maybe Eloy Jimenez, not so much that he's in here, but he actually stayed healthy enough to get here. But other than that, pretty much the regular suspects here at the Home Run Derby in Seattle. I think if Jazz Chisholm had never gotten hurt, there's a chance he could have made it if he had played well enough through the end of June and the month of July. But ultimately, these are the 8 guys we got, and this is our bracket. Fernando Tatis Jr. and Pete Alonso ultimately ended up making the championship. Tatis hit 24 home runs in the final round, and Alonso ultimately was not able to break that mark. He ended up hitting 15. So Big Meat Pete falls in the Derby to Fernando Tatis Jr. Did he inject steroids or PEDs before the Derby? Probably, because he had multiple homers go more than 460 feet. So now let's take a look at the All-Star game itself, and that starts with the All-Star rosters. Sandy Alcantara has been left off the National League All-Star team. It's not that he wouldn't have gotten in, it's that he's injured, and the game doesn't want to put injured players in, which is stupid. We have to have a new representative, and it's our catcher, Nick Fortes. He has been one of the better hitting catchers in baseball. I really think it should have gone to Garrett Cooper. I think he's been our best player, other than Sandy or Jazz. But Nick Fortes isn't a horrible choice, so I guess I kind of get it. In the American League, Pablo Lopez not only made it, but ended up getting the start in the All-Star game. The former Marlin, who was traded this past offseason for Luis Arraez, who's been good for us, but maybe not necessarily All-Star level. Javier Baez made it hitting sub-200. His numbers are better here in the game than in real life, which says a lot because he is awful, and I have to deal with it being a Tiger fan. So we're going to player lock with Nick Fortes. Since he's not a starter, it's only going to be 1 at bat here in the 8th inning against Clay Holmes of the Yankees, who has an ERA at .27. I think that's pretty good. The National League currently leads 2-0 as Fortes on a 1-2 count hits this one high and pretty deep into center field, but it will be caught. That would be Nick Fortes's only at-bat of the day, a flyout, and ultimately the National League bullpen blew it. We allowed 4 runs in the 8th inning and ultimately lost to the American League 4-2. We had this game won. I think we had allowed 2 hits through the first 7 innings, and then bam, it's like everything kind of fell apart. All of the starters did good, and then Josh Hader comes in, and it's a disaster. And then Devin Williams and Joe Mantiply also pitched in the inning, and they didn't really do us any favors either. The American League only hit the ball well for 1 inning, but that's all they needed to do, getting the win. I also briefly want to look at the minor league all-star games as well. The AA team won their all-star game 1-0. Gennaro Miller, our two-way player, was the starting pitcher in the game. Jeff Lindgren and Will Stewart also made it in terms of our starting pitchers. We had Austin Roberts making it the bullpen. CJ Hinojosa and Khalil Watson both made it. I think Watson is second place in all of the Southern League in batting average. Jacob Miller and Yiddy Cape made it as well, along with Jake Magnum and Jose Girardo, who currently leads the Southern League in home runs, with Gennaro Miller, the starting pitcher of the game, in third. He's basically the Southern League's version of Shohei Ohtani. The AAA team also won the All-Star Game 3-2. Paul McIntosh and Xavier Edwards both made it, along with Victor Mesa Jr. All 3 of them started in the game. So now we're going to put all of our attention here into the second half of the season. With Avisail Garcia getting injured, we have an extra roster spot. And I think it's time to call up Xavier Edwards. He has been fantastic in AAA this year, and I think he has earned an opportunity in the big leagues. He's going to be an everyday starter for now, batting 9th against righties and leading off against lefties, playing shortstop. We're going to player lock his debut here against the Baltimore Orioles at Camden Yards. It's kind of ironic that his debut is against the Orioles because in our MLB The Show 21 franchise with the Baltimore Orioles, we actually had Xavier Edwards on that team. So it's kind of funny that he's making his debut here in Baltimore. It's also our first game of the second half of the season. The team is currently 500, and we've made a big-time roster move, calling up one of our better hitting prospects, Xavier Edwards, who's been one of the best players across the International League in AAA, period. In AAA Jacksonville, he has an 818 OPS, and I think there's less offense in this game in the minors than the majors. So if you were to scale that to the big leagues, that 818 is quite a bit higher. Dean Kremer is starting for the Orioles as we go in the top of the third. The Marlins trail 2-0 for Xavier Edwards' first big league at bat as he grounds this one over to second base. And Adam Frazier, the All-Star, will make the play for the Orioles. An uneventful start for Edwards' first at bat. Here's his first defensive opportunity with the bases loaded and nobody out. Really rough start for Luzardo. As Edwards bobbles the ball grounded to him, he'll get the 1 out at second, but the Marlins are unable to turn the double play. Run scores nonetheless, and the Orioles lead 3-0. Let's go into the 5th inning now. Scores 1-4 in favor of Baltimore. It looks like Jesus Luzardo really is not pitching very well for us today. Edwards is up with 2 away and nobody on, and he's going to look at a tough pitch there for ball 1. This kid has pretty good plate skills and pretty good discipline for a young guy as he's ahead in the count early, 2-0. Pitch on its way from Kremer, and Edwards hits this one well, lining it into center, but it is caught, and Edwards starts his big league career 0-2, with Mullins making the play. Let's go forward into the 6th inning. 5-1 Baltimore. Devin Smeltzer now on the mound for the Marlins as Gunnar Henderson is up, and he grounds this one to short. This time Edwards makes the play. Throw to first in time. Edwards must have had the butterflies on his first defensive play, but that time he was able to field the routine grounder. So now we go into the 7th inning, and it looks like the offense is showing up as it's only a 1-run game. Edwards behind in the count early. He's going to remain disciplined, looking at a tough fastball above in the zone. Now the count is 2-2. Edwards has evened up the count once again. Pitch on its way from Baker, and he gets plunked. So Edwards' first big league base is going to be getting hit by a pitch. So now he's on first, and he's nearly going to get picked off. He's in a little bit of the pickle, and he will miraculously get out of it. That was a close call. He is awfully lucky. Here's the following pitch now. Edwards taking a lead as Segura grounds this one over to second, and the play is made. So it remains 5-4 as you skip a little bit forward now to the bottom half of the inning. Jorge Mateo leads it off for the Orioles with Devin Smeltzer still in the game as it's a grounder again to Edwards' left. He will again routinely field it and throw out the speedy Jorge Mateo for the first out of the inning. Let's go to the 9th. The game is tied at 5. Nobody on, one away. A huge opportunity for Xavier Edwards to really do some damage. He's got a 1-0 count facing off against the veteran Michael Givens. Edwards crushes this one into center field. That one high and deep to the track. It goes off the wall. Edwards will waltz into second with a double. His first big league hit, and it came at a huge time. That ball will be saved into the dugout. Certainly a moment Edwards will never forget. And one of the biggest plays in this game, because now the Marlins have one of their speedy base runners in scoring position for the top portion of the order up at the plate. That'll start with Jean Segura. Edwards looks to swipe third, and he is safe. His first career stolen base. Now there's a runner 90 feet away from home. As long as Segura puts this ball in play pretty solidly, then there's no reason that the Marlins cannot take the lead. Count is full for Segura with one away. Edwards on third as Segura hits this one well, but it's caught at third by Ramon Urias, who tags the base. Edwards thought that ball was hit so well it was going to drop, but Urias makes a great defensive play, and it ends up being a double play. And sure enough, the bullpen blew it in the bottom of the ninth. Xavier Edwards' base running blunder was partly the reason why the Marlins lost, but overall still a productive debut with some ups and downs. He had a big double, nice stolen base. He worked the count plenty of times, but he also had that one shaky defensive play and multiple base running blunders, and ultimately that one ended up costing the Marlins the game. Jesus Luzardo was not great. Neither was Dylan Floro. Got to give Devin Smeltzer credit. 3.2 perfect innings without allowing a single base runner. Very impressive. The Orioles only had 5 hits, but they had 6 runs. So that's one way to win. I then decided to test the trade market with Yuli Gurriel, and I think the San Francisco Giants make a lot of sense as a landing spot. The Giants are well within the National League wildcard race, and they really need a first baseman. Lamont Wade Jr. is a good hitter against righties, but he sucks against lefties. Luckily for them, Gurriel is great against left-handed pitching, and I just don't really think we need him at this point. So I found a trade that I think is fair. We'll be sending them CJ Hinojosa as well. He was an all-star for the Double-A team. And we'll be getting back Luis Matos, a solid center field prospect who has been raking in Triple-A this year. Look at the increase in his ratings. He's hitting .309 with an OPS at .924. He doesn't have enough at-bats to be qualified, but if he did, he'd be leading in OPS by around 100. So he's basically been one of, if not the best position players in all of minor league baseball this year. The Giants aren't calling him up, so maybe they have some vendetta against him. I don't know. And with Jazz Chisholm injured, I figured we might as well bring him up to the big leagues right away. None of the other outfielders in AAA have been all that good this year, so I figured why not give Luis Matos an opportunity while Jazz Chisholm is injured. Once Chisholm comes back, we may send Matos back down to the minors unless he's playing really well. So we're going to player lock his debut, which is the second game of this Baltimore Orioles series. We're really letting the kids play. We had Xavier Edwards' big league debut last night, and now Luis Matos is making his big league debut today. The Marlins lost the first game of the series to Baltimore. We'll see what they can do here in the second game with Luis Matos, the talented outfield prospect, getting his first look at big league ball in the 8-hole. Grayson Rodriguez is getting the start for the Orioles. The rookie's gotten off to a solid start this year. He hasn't been bad, but hasn't exactly lit the world on fire. Let's get a look at Matos defensively as Ryan Mountcastle hits this one high and deep near the warning track, but Matos will come down with it and make the play. Compared to other really good outfield prospects in baseball, Matos' defensive ratings leave a little bit to be desired, so he might be more of a corner outfielder in the long term. Here we are in the second inning, no score, runner on first and 2 away, as Luis Matos makes his first career big league at bat. Matos finds himself ahead in the count early, 2-1, as he takes a big swing and a miss on the 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He was going for the fences on that one. So now the count is 2-2. Matos rips this one into the gap. That'll go for extra bases and could possibly score a run. The runner is rounding third, headed to the plate, and he is safe with no relay throw. It's an RBI double for Luis Matos, putting the Marlins on the board. His first big league at bat is a pretty good one, driving in a run with a double for his first big league hit. That baseball will be saved as well, as it puts the Marlins on the board. That'll bring up Xavier Edwards now in his second big league game, and he hits this one well into left. Matos will score, and it's now 2-0. Let the kids play. These young guys are really swinging the bat well for the Marlins. Into the fourth, same score, 2 runners aboard and 1 away for Luis Matos. He's behind 1-2, but he hits this one well past the glove of the third baseman for a single into left. Run will score, and it is now 3-0. Matos has driven in 2 runs today, and he scored the other one. Not a bad big league debut for the young outfielder as we go into the 5th inning. The Orioles have added 2 runs here against Edward Cabrera, who's been red hot on the mound over the last month or so as the inning comes to a close with Matos making the play. Edwards' pitching count is oddly pretty low. I think it's at like 54 through 5 innings, so maybe he can keep going. Into the 7th now. Score remains 3-2. Matos finds himself behind 0-2. Pitch on its way from Baker, and he gets plunked. So Matos will reach base for a 3rd time today. Both of our rookies have gotten plunked in their debuts, and it's been against the same pitcher, Brian Baker. This guy must be a dirty little rat. Matos will look to steal second. He is safe. So now there's a runner in scoring position for Xavier Edwards. He would eventually strike out, bringing up Jean Segura, who also will punch out as it remains 3-2, and the Marlins are unable to drive Matos in. Let's go bottom 7 now. Matt Barnes out of the bullpen after 6 strong innings from Cabrera as Jorge Mateo lines this one into right center, and that'll drop for a hit. Matos gets over to it, going to try to throw the runner out at second, but the other runner is going to look to head home. So the throw from Edwards, the cutoff man, is in time. The Matos and Edwards connection will throw out Austin Hayes as the Marlins hold on to their lead, 3-2. Into the 9th now, same score. Matos back up. He has reached base successfully in all 3 of his plate appearances and is directly responsible for all 3 of Miami's runs today. Facing off against Michael Givens, Matos with a weak grounder over to second, and he is out, ending his perfect career track record of getting on base. Luckily, the Marlins would still get the win, 3-2, revolting themselves back up to 500, in large part to the performance of Luis Matos today, who ends up winning player of the game, going 2 for 3 with an RBI double, an RBI single. He scored the other run, and was also hit by a pitch and stole a base. So overall, a really good start to the career of Luis Matos. Our 2 young guys were the ones who drove in the 3 runs today, so it's really nice to see the kids not only playing, but playing really well. So we're going to keep Edwards and Matos in the lineup for a little bit as we're going to simulate through the next week and a half, wrapping up the Baltimore series. Then we've got 3 on the road against the Cardinals and 3 at home against the Colorado Rockies. Before that, though, I want to go over our process of signing all of our draft picks. So we're going to focus on our top guys first, Landry, Beltran, and Robbie Jones. Woody Landry will be offered $4.55 million, and he accepts. So our first-round pick is officially here. Joel Beltran will get a little over $2 million. He also accepts. And then Robbie Jones will get $1.67, which he accepts. Our top guys are making it all very easy on us. As for Cameron Norman, we offered him the minimum, and he said no. That's not ideal. How about Derek Chavis? We're going to give him $363K. He says no. And then Fernando Cortez, our last pick, we're going to offer $365, and he says no. We're also going to try to prioritize getting Sierra more interested because he's the only person under 50%, which is the mark you need to offer a contract. So Sierra is now at 50%. We're going to offer him $913K. He says no. All of our mid and late round picks have to make this so hard on us. Cortez ended up saying no. Derek Chavis did say yes to $547K. Cameron Norman said yes to $634K. So now we're down to 2, Sierra and Cortez. Let's go to the next day of signing. We're going to offer Dominique Sierra $907K, and he says yes. We're going to offer Cortez $448K, and he says no. Cortez is the last player we have to sign with 12 days left to go until the deadline. We offered him $574K, and he accepts. So with that, all 7 of our draft picks have signed with 12 days to go until the deadline. And again, we'll be able to find those guys' ratings and potentials out in the next episode. Sandy Alcantara is back. I'm not sure if we, the Marlins, are back. We did beat Baltimore, but we then got swept by St. Louis. We did win 2 of 3 against Colorado, including a complete game shutout for Alcantara in his first game back. Luis Matos, through 27 at-bats, has been pretty underwhelming so far. Xavier Edwards has not played as much. He missed the entire St. Louis series with a bruised leg, but so far he's been a little better than Matos with an 812 OPS. So that'll bring us to this matchup on the road, a 2-game set in Tampa Bay against the Rays, the Battle of Florida. The Marlins are 50-51 with under a week to go now until the trade deadline. We've got a 2-game set here at the Trop. I really wanted to get a look at Trevor Rogers because he's having a pretty good season, and I believe we've only pitched with him once so far, and that was all the way back in April. Xavier Edwards hitting in the leadoff spot today while Luis Matos hits 7th. They'll face off against the lefty, Jeffrey Springs, who's had a pretty good season for Tampa Bay. I wanted to face off against the lefty because we've got a lot of guys in the lineup who are really good against lefties, including Xavier Edwards. Edwards rose up through the farm system with the Tampa Bay Rays organization before being traded a couple of off seasons ago to Miami as it's a grounder to short. Throw from Culberson is in time, but I don't know if that was the right call. We think Xavier Edwards was safe at first, and manager Skip Shoemaker is going to challenge the call. And as you can see right there, his foot is on the bag before the ball is in the glove of Harold Ramirez. So the play will be overturned, and Xavier Edwards is safe at first with an infield single. We'll see if the Marlins can capitalize with this successful challenge, as that'll bring up Gene Segura, hitting .281. He's been pretty good since the All-Star break, but he grounds into a 4-6-3 double play. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. Let's go bottom one. Take a look at Trevor Rogers, who's only 3-9 this year, but he's been very solid with a 3.29 ERA and a 1.37 WHIP. He's been a lot better than he was a year ago, which is certainly very promising to see from the young lefty. With one away, he'll face off against Manny Margot, who hits this one into right center field for a base hit. De La Cruz gets over to it pretty quickly, preventing an extra base hit. But nonetheless, the Rays get a base runner. That'll bring up Yandy Diaz. He hits this one into center. That'll go for another hit. And so Tampa Bay with 2 early singles. We'll see if the Rays can drive these guys in and put themselves on the board. That'll bring up Charlie Culberson, starting at shortstop today for the injured Wander Franco, as he hits this one into left center for extra bases. I think Brian De La Cruz has the reaction time of like a dead seal or something. He is so slow to quickly turn his body and get to the ball. Culberson drives in 2, and Harold Ramirez will look to drive in another one as it's going to be blooped into right for a hit. That'll be an RBI single, and the Rays take a 3-0 lead. Let's go into the second inning now. The first-time All-Star Nick Fortes is up for the Marlins, and he will hit this one down the right field line, and that one is fair, bouncing over the wall for a double. And the Marlins have the runner in scoring position as they look to put themselves on the board. Brian De La Cruz really has struggled against lefties this year, but it looks like he could get an infield single, and he is safe. Fortes does not advance, but there are now 2 runners aboard with nobody out. That'll bring up Luis Matos, who's pretty good against lefties. However, his clutch rating is quite bad, which is important here. And sure enough, that at-bat was not very clutch. Instead, it is a 6-4-3 double play. Fortes does advance to third, but still not ideal. That'll bring up Charles LeBlanc, who crushes this one into center field. Siri at the track, at the wall, it is gone! 2-run shot for Charles LeBlanc. That's his second of the year. And the Marlins will make it a 3-2 ball game as that one goes 419 feet. A missile off the bat of LeBlanc. Into the third now. Xavier Edwards hits this one well into center, still looking for his first career homer as it goes off the wall. Edwards is going to go into second safely. He is 2 for 2 today with a single and a double, clearly having no issues adjusting to big league pitching with how well he has performed. Edwards is still on second, 2 away for Jorge Soler. He's going to ground it over to second, and Brandon Lau makes a really nice play, and that'll wrap up the inning as the score remains 3-2. Trevor Rogers has looked better since his rough first inning. Hopefully he can keep it going here in the third as Manuel Margot gets that one by the glove of Edwards. De La Cruz slow to get to it, but it is still only going to be a single. Tampa Bay opens up the inning with a base runner. We'll see if they can do anything with it. Yandy Diaz gets this one weakly into center. That'll go for a hit. And so Tampa Bay opens up the inning with runners on first and second. We'll see if they can capitalize and extend the lead as it's Brandon Lau up, and he strikes out on the slider right down the middle of the plate for the first out of the inning. Charlie Culberson drove in 2 runs back in the first inning, and he's going to look to drive in another one with a single into right. Throw from Soler to the plate is not in time as Margot will score, and the Rays lead it 4-2. That'll bring up Harold Ramirez. He strikes out on the circle change for out number 2. We'll see if Rogers can get out of the inning against Isaac Paredes. This one is mashed into left field and gone into the seats. A 3-run blast for Isaac Paredes, his 7th of the year, and it is now 7-2. Sometimes it's just not your day, and today has not been Trevor Rogers' day. He'll be taken out of the game 2 2/3 innings, allowing 7, as he'll be replaced by JT Chargois, who was acquired by, ironically, the Rays last offseason. We're having Chargois come into the game instead of our long reliever Braxton Garrett for a couple reasons. One, Garrett isn't loose. Might as well wait until the next inning. And then two, Francisco Mejia is really good against lefties, so we might as well have a righty in the game. Mejia does hit it all the way to the warning track, but it is caught by Soler. Still a big inning for the Rays as they score 4 and knock Trevor Rogers out of the game. Into the top of the 4th now, Nick Fortes strikes out on the fastball. Jeffrey Springs has been pretty good today, minus that rough second inning. Runner on first, one away for Luis Matos. He goes down on the circle change. Another strikeout for Springs. So here's Braxton Garrett into the game in the bottom of the 4th inning. 3.97 ERA and 32 appearances as he faces off against the center fielder, Jose Siri. I think my Siri might have just turned on. That's ironic. But Siri homers into left field with an absolute missile, and it's now 8-2. Jose Siri is a great defensive player. He has 99 speed, but he can't really hit. Of course, he just happened to hit a 430-foot dinger against us. And then Randy Arozarena will blue base single into the shallow infield. It's just been that kind of day for the Marlins. Here's Manuel Margot now. That one is deflected by a rise, and the play to first is not in time. The infield was playing in, trying to get the double play, but instead they get nothing. So now there's 2 aboard and nobody out for Yandy Diaz, who strikes out. This is still quickly looking like a disaster for Garrett. He will strike out Brandon Lau on a filthy outside slider. That was a nice pitch. Got to give him credit. He would only end up allowing the 1 run off the homer by Jose Siri. Into the 5th inning now, Gene Segura draws a walk, and so the Marlins get a base runner here as they try to rally down by 6. Not pretty. Garrett Cooper up next. Segura looking to swipe second as Cooper's going to single into center anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now there's 2 runners aboard and 1 out. If the Marlins want to make a comeback, this is a good opportunity to, score. It will not be against Springs. Instead, it'll be against the long reliever, Yonny Chirinos. He's facing off against Fortes with 2 outs as he draws a walk, and the bases are now loaded. Huge opportunity for Brian De La Cruz, who also has a very low clutch rating, and it shows here as he checks his swing on the low slider for strike 3. The Marlins leave them loaded, and it is still 8-2 in favor of the Tampa Bay Rays. Braxton Garrett, meanwhile, is really starting to pitch well as he strikes out Francisco Mejia on the fastball for the 2nd out of the inning. Now against Jose Siri, who homered in his last at-bat, weak grounder over to Luis Arraez. Good couple of innings for Garrett after really starting off slow. He has pitched a lot better, and the Marlins are hoping they can get a couple more innings out of him. As against Randy Arozarena, it's a grounder to short. Edwards bobbles it again. They call Arozarena safe at first. But again, I don't think that was the right call. And Skip Shoemaker will look to challenge another one. I guess the butterflies for Edwards are still there. But as we look at the replay, I think Arozarena was out at first. The Marlins are now 2 for 2 on challenges today as Yandy Diaz strikes out of a sweeping curveball. A filthy pitch by Garrett, who is red hot. It's a shame his offense isn't backing him up. Fortes goes down on the splitter here in the 8th inning now. Same score. Both pitchers still in the game for their respective teams. De La Cruz bloops this one into right field, and it is caught! What a catch by Manuel Margot! Holy guacamole! One of the best defensive plays I've seen all year. Holy cow! The score remains 8-2 with an incredible grab by Margot. Bottom 8. Runner on, 1 away. Garrett still in the game as Jose Siri hits this one into left center field. That one will go for a double. Run scores, and the Rays are back on the board as it is now 9-2. I think Braxton Garrett still is pitching really well, but against everybody other than Jose Siri. He will strike out Margot. Marlins trail by 7. Going into the top of the 9th inning. I think this one is probably not going to happen. 2 gone for Xavier Edwards. He's going to pop this one into left field, and it will be caught by Randy Arozarena. The Rays win in blowout fashion. 9-2 is your final. Trevor Rogers had a rough start. Braxton Garrett was pretty good out of the bullpen against everybody not named Jose Siri, but our offense just didn't do enough today. 2 runs, 9 hits. The offense looked pretty good early, but once they put Yonny Chirinos in the game, it was pretty much over. Both Chirinos and Garrett, the two long relievers, pitched quite well. Garrett allowing 2 runs in 5 innings, while Chirino only allowed 2 base runners in 4 2/3 innings. So we're going to simulate up to the deadline now, wrapping up the series against Tampa Bay, and then 3 at home against the lowly Detroit Tigers. We lost the last game against the Rays and would only go 1-2 against the Tigers. So we are now 51-55. We're 4 games under 500. Since the All-Star break, I think we're 5-9. We are 8 games back of the final wild card spot. Luckily, Jazz Chisholm will be back soon, but we have clearly not had a good month of July. I don't think realistically we can expect to contend for a wild card spot. And again, that's not to say we aren't going to look to make moves to improve this ball club, but we're probably going to focus more on selling guys like Garrett Cooper, who's a free agent at the end of the year. Cooper's been great this season, 302 average, 851 OPS. We're probably not going to get like an A potential prospect for him, but he definitely has value. Johnny Cueto's having a good season. I think we could absolutely get something for him. Dylan Floro as well could be a guy who's on the move. Him and Cueto are both also free agents as well. So we've got some guys of value who could get us some good prospects, but I still want to make some moves to potentially make this ball club better as well. That's going to wrap up the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.